As I mentioned in the Bloodstained video, I have something of an interest-based selection criteria for my videos, which is to say, I select whatever it is I'm playing at the moment that I think is interesting enough to make a video on. While that is good, there are some downsides to it. Case in point, getting to things later than I probably should. But since there's a bit of a lull right now for game releases, I'm going to talk about the current video you're watching right now. My name is Domesticated Ant, and I'm here to tell you what's good about Gravity Circuit. Developed by Domesticated Ant Games and published by PID Games, which also published Alba, A Wildlife Adventure, and Lost Eidolons, Gravity Circuit is a 2D platformer that takes heavy inspiration from Mega Man. And if you know me, then you know that I am something of an aficionado to Blue Bomber. I have my preferences, but I feel like a good way to get me interested in the game is to say that it draws inspiration from Mega Man as seen when I covered 30XX over a year ago. BT dubs, that game is officially out for early access, and if you enjoy Mega Man and its sequels and or roguelikes, check it out, you're in for a treat. But the way Gravity Circuit takes its inspiration is a bit on the nose. While the entire conflict in the main story is set off by the discovery of a most likely alien spacecraft, and the main bosses are 8 of the 9 members of the Robot Society's defense force being brainwashed by said implied spacecraft, and your character being the one who has to take them out, it's the same setup as your usual Mega Man game. The circuits are the stand-ins for Robot Master / Mavericks, Kai the Gravity Circuit is the Mega Man / X XP, and there's an obligatory highway level with a helicopter mini-boss. You get the picture. While it may sound like I'm being nitpicky when I say this, I'm actually not. This is a game that wears its inspiration and its love for said inspiration on its sleeves. It's played for 100% earnest sincerity, and in an era where it's easier to have things be so obscured by layers upon layers of irony, I respect the absolute hell out of it. Everything about it, from the way it's written, the pixel art looking appealing and chunky, and the music being some of the best Mega Man-inspired bops I've heard in a while, and much, much more. Speaking of the game's art style, it looks like a playable version of a webcomic with a sick art style to just stumble upon online, and I mean that in the best way. The use of color for Kai, the other circuits, the enemies, and even the levels are so nice to look at, and even serve a gameplay purpose of highlighting hazards, switches, checkpoints, and more. It's some nice visual design. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's get to talking about the actual video game part of the video game. Gravity Circuit's structure is very much of the run through 8 distinct obstacle courses and fight a boss, followed by at least 4 endgame levels formula that Mega Man created, but there are some twists to it. While there are 8 bosses you can fight in pretty much any order you want, none of the bosses give you weapons that act as weaknesses for others, so you can't go in a predetermined boss difficulty order, which is interesting. Instead, the game gives you a power scale on each of the levels that are fixed from 1 to 8 and tells you how dangerous each one is. This is done through length, enemy placements, branching paths, placement of health pickups, checkpoints, etc. This gives the game a sense of freedom to craft a nice sense of escalation. Starting for something as simple as the Steelworks, which feels like a standard factory level that turns into a simple, albeit neat Flashman homage halfway through, to stuff like the power plants and the highway level, which has you going through absurd paces, dodging obstacles, avoiding traffic and electrified platforms respectively, and eventually fighting enemies that go so far as enhance the traps being used. Hello, iterative design, my beloved. Control over Kai is paired with all of this beautifully. You run, jump, and dash through levels with obscene quickness. But there's a unique difference here. You don't shoot. You punch. That's right, Kai is a literal robot ninja and don't need no ranged attacks. He punches shit and it's rad. There are purchasable upgrades for more attacks, but you mainly punch stuff. And this is complemented by the movement options as well. On top of running and jumping, Kai can ninja run for increased speeds, climb and jump off of walls, and use a grappling hook to get across cavernous pits. That last one fits into some later level design, so points there as well. Overall, Gravity Circuit controls and plays like a dream, with incredibly responsive controls that let you start and stop on a dime, which is great for this kind of game. I say this because the amount of control you have at such high speeds in the gameplay is necessary for the amount of much platforming you're going to be doing. Spoiler alert, it's going to be a lot. Gravity Circuit manages to make the platforming feel like a weird combination of the aforementioned obstacle courses of Mega Man, while also being high-speed 100-meter dashes at the same time, and I have no idea how the team at Domesticated Ant Games did it, but they did, and it's kind of remarkable. A little confusing at first, but when you get into it, you really get into it. And then there's the boss fights. While I like them, they don't have the same sense of escalation of difficulty as the rest of the game. Mainly because you can just run up and punched them to death, which is fine, but I was expecting more of a back and forth, so that's on me. Overall, Gravity Circuit is a neat little nugget of a video game. Its action platforming mixed with some inventive level design makes for an experience that is a damn fine homage. It all comes from a place of sincere love for Mega Man, and possibly some of the best controls I've seen in a platformer since Shovel Knight. Check it out when you can, you won't be disappointed. And that will be it for this week's video. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I deeply appreciate it. Thank you, have a wonderful day.